Hello there and welcome to the Star Wars Showcase YouTube channel. In today's video, we're really going to build out the background of our Black Series dioramas by talking through a couple of easy steps that you can follow to make your very own Imperial Scientist. Let's get into it. Now, these Scientist figures are pretty fun to put together because all you really need is our Black Series Galen Erso body, and then really the head sculpt of any character that's a little bit older, a little bit more distinguished, or a little bit nerdy looking. And thankfully, Marvel Legends gives us plenty of options there. So, in our previous Imperial Officer Dark Times showcase, I mentioned the Magneto and Xavier 2-pack, and you'll recognize some of the heads that went into that project. Here, I have taken the head of Sir Ian McKellen, or Magneto, as I thought he had a really good kind of distinguished and kind of austere look that would fit really well in the Imperial Science Corps. To go alongside with that, I do have a custom 3D printed Imperial hat from our friend GI Trooper Kits on Etsy. I've mentioned GI Trooper Kits before. He's an UK-based Etsy store and does fantastic work, especially for your Imperial and Clone Trooper projects. So recommend checking him out, as he was able to print me up these Imperial hats here, which are done in a flex resin, so there's a little bit of give to them. They fit a little bit better. And you'll notice here, this one is a little bit bigger in size. I think GI Trooper Kits was working on some test sizing. He had some larger leftovers that I purchased from him, but it actually fits really nicely on this specific head sculpt, as the Magneto head here has this kind of coiffed hair that's pushed back. And if you had just a normal, Black Series Imperial hat from someone like Admiral Piet, it wouldn't quite fit on there. So for an Imperial Scientist, it's completely optional to have this hat. We never actually see them with it, but I thought it was a nice touch, and with just a little bit of black paint, kind of adds a little bit more of a commanding look to things. The head sculpt, when you put it on, at least for this particular Magneto, is not a perfect fit, and so what you'll want to do is on the ball joint that's still attached to the figure, once you remove that old Galen Erso head, you're going to want to cover that in Vaseline. And then what you'll do inside the Magneto head is put a little bit of hot glue. And as I've described in previous videos, when you then put on the Magneto head sculpt and work to fit that into place, that hot glue won't actually adhere to the Vaseline that you've put down, and will instead fill the cracks around it, meaning that the head is going to then fit comfortably and still maintain articulation so you can move it around. So once you do that with your Magneto head sculpt or whatever other head sculpt that you've selected, you've pretty much got the basics of an Imperial Scientist here. You'll notice when you put him next to Galen, it actually looks really nice to kind of have a couple of these guys who could be working on, Death Star projects or, any of those other secret Imperial works. So these are really great to kind of build out a scene in the background, maybe with some other stormtroopers or maybe some Death Troopers flanking them. So that, all in all, is really the gist of putting together an Imperial Scientist. Not too much to these projects, and Galen Erso figures can be found for about $10 on eBay, so relatively cheap as well. And while there's not a lot of steps here, and it's almost generous to call this a tutorial, I'm hoping this can just kind of be an inspirational thing, that you can think, some different head sculpts that you've got lying around, or ones that you might want to find cheap on eBay. This is really just kind of a fun, quick, kit bash, sort of project that really helps expand kind of the background and the life of different dioramas or toy photography shots. So, let me know your thoughts on this project. Is this one that you're going to be taking on? Do you have any other recommendations for other head sculpts that you think might work well? Please let me know in the comments below. Additionally, if you're interested in purchasing this project or any of the other customs that I work on, please make sure to check out my eBay store, which is linked in the video description below. Most of these projects that I make do find their way onto that eBay store eventually, so if you're interested in anything that I put together, please check that out, as I'm refreshing things pretty regularly.